You Uma on.
My name is Abina Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Bokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Between the Headlines on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition, we are going to be discussing some very important issues. Number one, the Congress or the Citizen Movement for Change, CMC, has apologized for what is called the behavior or unbecoming behavior of its global chairman. I mean, CMC was very swift in probably less than 24 hours. How important is this issue that CMC was able to jump ahead of it? We're going to analyze that, and we're going to take a little tiny bit of look at the what transpired. Of late, people have been accusing new political parties of aligning with bigger parties, saying, "Hey, you are just doing this so that at a time of the second round, so you can get to this party or get to the winner and get your political dividend." How true is that? We're going to look into it. Also, the University of Liberia is going through some challenges. The Student Unification Party, who they call themselves the Vanguard Student Unification Party, is calling on the president, Dr. Mapayan, to resign, saying all the challenges have not been addressed under her, so she should just call it quit. Also, we're going to be looking at the post-Prince Johnson Nimba County. And we have Koung, Kou, and Kogar. Maybe they are in a little bit of tussle. What's going on in Nimba? We're going to take a look. Also, we have other reports at the Finance Ministry suggesting that something is not clear. Is it Didiba going on or what? Let me welcome Mr. Jimmy Eastman from the nation's capital, who has joined us tonight to talk about this issue. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Dennis. Some hot topics. I'm glad to be here to learn from these great panelists on board here.
Thank you. Let me welcome the new progressive commentator, someone stepping in the shoes of the new progressive icon, Patrick Sawyer. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a pleasure being on the show tonight. I want to say hi to my fellow panelists and to our listening audience and viewers out there. It's a pleasure being on, and I look forward to a great show tonight, Dennis.
Thank you. Last and definitely not the least is FOL political analyst and also a product of Waplo Institute from River G, Kilipo. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dennis. It's good to be here.
And speaking of Waplo Institute, I saw some pictures that were not so pleasant of your alma mater.
Yeah, it speaks of the. It's a little bit of what you have all all across the country. The degradation of the educational system, the neglect, the total incompetence of the elite, the new oligarchs. It's heartbreaking. I'm muted.
We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. If you have not already done so, please hit that share button, invite someone, and let's discuss. I want us to start with what happened, on a sister network. I mean, to be honest, I earlier decided I was not going to bring it up because these things happen every day, and we see insults. And the more we talk about it, or the more we try to be different, to say, well, some of these discussions, they are beneath, us. People are drawn to drama, to insults. We call them G's and fries. So sometimes we try to keep away. But the political party CMC has also stepped in. So we thought that we should discuss it. It all started on a TV panel discussion where a question was asked to the CMC global chairman concerning the party's affiliation with the Congress for Democratic Change, CDC. I also see that the PAP, the proposed PAC, is also having the same question, asking PAP, are you aligning, or are you just, and some people call the PAP an auxiliary of the Unity Party. So they have now started to call also the CMC an auxiliary of the CDC, whatever that is. That question was asked, and the global chair did not take it so kindly. Let's take a listen.
Global chair, you wanted to, you know what you are doing, except you're stupid, you don't know what you're doing. You ask.
Except who's stupid?
You are.
You are global chair, you using it right.
All right. That's a little bit of that. And so, first of all, before we go any further, Jimmy, does this worth the time we're giving it to discuss this particular issue of what transpired on Spoon TV?
Well, etiquette is something that we have to practice. And when we see people on a broad channel like Spoon using words like stupid against one another, we can't let that pass by without making a comment. We should be cordial. Are we going to allow ourselves to degenerate to the level that we start cursing one another? It's not rare. It does happen when heated arguments. I think one guy, his name was Daniel Goleman, who wrote about emotional intelligence, and he characterized this as being an amygdala hijack. That is when the brain's emotional center, which is the amygdala, takes over before the rational brain can process. So we've seen these things happen and be provoked, but are we supposed to allow this sort of behavior amongst us, or should we not be more cordial? And I think in passing, we will see this more. But as you rightly said, the response from CMC says is a whole lot by issuing an apology, saying that the global chair acted in an unbecoming manner. That is like hanging her out to dry.
Thank you.
But
Jimmy,
you tender my resignation immediately.
Jimmy, we see that basic journalism, they say, well, the dog bit the man is not news. The man bit the dog, that's news, right? So cursing is everywhere. Why is this one so important? I mean, there are people who made a career out of insults and these invectives all over the internet. And in fact, some of them even get jobs, they get appointments in government by insulting. So what's the news here?
No news. It just appeared surprising that one, but what the news is what you said. The CMC is issuing an apology,
Yeah.
so that means they feel that the chair was out of character and not in consonance with their beliefs and ideology. So that what makes it stand out.
Thank you. Mr. Sharif, let me get your take on this one.
Yeah,
I don't, from the way I look at you, it's like you don't think we should even talk about it.
I'm a bit annoyed with this kind of
Yeah.
analysis when there are real sufferings, going on in the country. But here we are now. We're going to talk about it, don't we? So let's start. You struck a right point right there. You struck a good point. So in journalism, there is something called prominence, proximity, and prominence. So in a line of prominence, first proximity, these things are happening now, right in our neighborhood. Our neighborhoods now are interconnected, so we are more in the global village now. So this is happening right in our backyards, if you will. Prominence. Why are we talking about this? If it wasn't Francine, probably we wouldn't be talking about this. Okay, so there's a lot of people out here that hold her in high esteem. And she is the global chair of the citizens movement for change, a new political party that's making waves already. So people are like, okay, this is a global chair. There's a need for her for decorum and all these different things of that nature. Nobody is sitting tonight talking about the profanities that Prophet Key has already expended, the things that he has already said. Nobody is talking about that now because that has been normalized already. Nobody is talking about Yaka because those things have been normalized already. So why are we talking about this? We're talking about this because it's Jimmy said it's out of the ordinary. A lot of people hold her in high esteem. Having said that, now I like the party's CMC's position. They were quick. It was very measured. So it was the right thing to do. You could either do that, or you can go the route of an apology. That in Liberian politics is very lame. Somebody's going to say, if I did you bad, okay, please forgive me if I did so, if I did this. That's very lame, and lukewarm and lame, really. Or you can go the route of Joseph Boaka and George Weah, say nothing for eternity. And CMC took the correct route. Dennis, I want to end with this. So while we're talking about Francine, she didn't kill nobody. What she did was worse. But we have people on the airwaves who've done terrible things to our country. They're not canceled. These people are not canceled. They've done terrible things. They said terrible things. They're terrible people. They are not canceled. In fact, those people are celebrated. So again, I am not in any way, shape, or form condoning this kind of behavior. I hope she's gonna. My hope is that she learns from this. Instead of resigning, there's no need to resign. You stay in the institution, you learn from this, you grow from this. We all, we all make mistakes, and I think that she'll grow from this.
Thank you, Dr. Pearson. What is the what do you think precipitated it? Was it because sometimes the kind of discussion that we want to have, the kind of conditions being created, the kind of questions or the kind of things, how we set the stage can sometimes become a fertile ground for these kind of things to happen. And has the intervention of the CMC kind of raised it to another level? Because you see, let me set an example. Yaka Koloba is a certain representative. He made a career out of these kind of languages. I mean, this. So Some are saying, what's the big deal? I mean, is it double standard? Is it because she's a woman? Is it because she PhD? Is it because she's on a big a network? Is it because you know because she's well mannered? And so anything people going to kind of pounce on it. Others are doing worse, even at the highest office. We saw our own friend Mr. Kessler at the Ministry of Presidential Affairs. He is well known for insulting people. What do we do? Is she sanctioned or is he sanctioned? Or do we have sure about these things? Go ahead, Dr. Pearson.
Thank you, Venice. Hi to Mr. Dukley. There are a couple of ways that we can look at the situation. First and foremost, I should say that I think it's important that we have this conversation because we've made social media an attractive place for young people, and these young people see the social media as a place for information, and they come to admire certain people that they see every other day and year or every other day on social media talking about national issues. And believe it or not, some of us have become icons to young people out there. So we become something like a model for them to follow after. So I think when people slip in this situation, it is important for us to be able to come forward and say, listen, this person slipped. This is not a good representation of what we want to see in Liberia. And the young people coming after us can see and know that, look, this is not something we can condone in society. Having said that, I think, like you mentioned, Dennis, I think you're conflicting popularity with acceptability for certain roles in society. In as much as I'm coming to, I always speak with facts, right? You look at Henry Costa, with all of his popularity, Henry Costa run for elected office and never won elected office in Dennis, Costa has been popular for why since the early administration. Let me just give me chance to learn. With all of the popularity you're talking about, when Henry Costa was seen by the young people in Liberia who may have not have the credential, in other words, to accept him for who he is, did not follow his political sway when he swapped from Boyka to we are in the last minute of the campaign of the election. So the people definitely tell you that they did not vote under his persuasion. That's another fact. Another fact to the matter is that you should understand that in as much as Costa is being talked about for a chief of office staff of the president, you yourself can bear witness that the complication that he's faced with the barriers before him is out of the same situation that you are discussing here right now, because people have something on his character. So there is no way any of the young people who admire us out there can learn anything from Costa right now when it comes to his credibility and how he is seen for public office. So I would say here that I think it is a slip. Young people should not take cue from Dr. Richardson. This is not the first time I've seen her done what she did. I think CMC is in a precarious situation where they are trying to brand themselves as a new political party. They want to have some level of acceptability and favorability in the public eye. To condone that behavior would be a nail in the coffin right from the very start. So I think CMC did a very good thing to come up, which is unorthodox for our political space, to come up and say, listen, we distance ourselves from that behavior. It's not becoming of our MO for our political party. It's not part of our standards. It's not even fall within the range of our code of conduct. And I think it's a good thing. I will land by saying on this issue, Dennis, I think some of us are shying away from condemning that, but I should say, quite frankly, I should condemn it very strongly, that behavior. and believe that it should not be coming from people who want to project themselves as a voice and as influencer in our society. And I will say this in closing that, Dennis, as we move forward our country, we want to be sure that we're building the right foundation. Because the reason why Dr. Francine could not accept any alignment with CDC is because of the same rhetoric that they used in the campaign period before the winning of the elections. Now, after the elections, they have demonized the CDC to the extent that they feel uncomfortable associating themselves with the CDC. But CDC now is a fundamental part of the opposition. Elected or not, CDC is going to come first or second in any elections that is run in Liberia with we are at the hem of power, whether we like him or not. So, like it or not, they will have to align with the CDC in opposition to gain some popularity and to gain some political capital.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. Hello to my fellow panelists. I think there is some conflict here between two things that are not supposed to be conflicted. I actually watched the episode live as it was going on, and I also watched the video you were just talking about on Madam Ellen when this person phoned and asked her about the donation. And I've also heard my brother make some comparison and mention Prophet Keys and Representative Koluba. But Prophet Keys, he has a program where he insults people. He's insulting people. I mean, who cares? I mean, you can open you can have your platform, and the platform is entitled to insult whatever. I mean, that's freedom, I guess. He's free. He can say whatever he wants to say. My problem and my position is that Dr. Francine represents an institution. Dr. Francine is somebody who is supposed to be a role model at a level that really influences a lot of people. And that's where I come from with my argument when it comes to what occurred that day. And so I would go as far as saying she should have been removed from her chairmanship of the CMC position that she has. Now, with that said, look, when we are having a political discussion, whatever it is that we are having, we need to be civil. We need to be respectful. And this is not only in politics. This is in everything that we do. We should be respectful to others. But and I've said this today on the platform. We cannot eradicate this. This is part of what makes us human. But we need to set the boundary, and we need to call them out as they happen. And so, yes, CMC took a very noble position by coming out, apologizing right away. Now, has Dr. Francine Richardson, has she come out and apologized to Jackie? If she has, I haven't heard it. I haven't seen it. So it is from that position that I think something like this should be reprimanded in the strongest manner possible. And so, Madam Ellen Johnson said, I remember, in fact, the questioner, the journalist that was asking the president, the former president, was very aggressive in his questioning. I mean, it was just rude, pure rude, the way he spoke to the president, the former president, the way he asked. I was like, why is this guy talking like this? But you see, this is all part of our mindset. This is all part of what we have now come to normalize. And until the day somebody take a bullet because somebody is insulted them or somebody has said something they don't like, that's when we'll come to realize. I mean, we're not going to eradicate it, but we can speak strongly against it. And whoever does it must be called out in the strongest possible way. And so Costa, Prophet Keys, and Koluba, look, especially Koluba, a lot of the things that Koluba says is true. It's the fact. I mean, you can disagree with his manner, but the fact is that he represents only 0.01% of the legislature that does that or that speaks that way. And so he is not the example. If anything, he's the bad example that, pardon me? Yeah, did you read the yeah, did you read what Brother Mohammed said that Liberia elections are some of the dumbest he's ever seen? You could disagree with that, but how do you interpret it then? If you disagree with that, people who are known, well documented killers and who have committed the worst thing you can imagine, we are electing them. Is that normal to you, Mr. Dennis? Yeah, but because that's what the country is, doesn't make it right, doesn't make it normal. It shouldn't be. And so because if that is the case, yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, but Dennis, if we follow your line of argument, we shouldn't even be having this show to begin with. Then just leave it. Let the ball roll as it does. So no, but I guess that line of argument exists. I agree, but it's a flaw argument. To be honest, in my opinion, it's a flaw argument. Simply because just because people do it doesn't make it right. Just because people have won elections, that doesn't make it right either. So yes, people, look, when Liberia is a special case, people have this collective trauma that they've never gotten any support or help to get themselves out of that trauma. I mean, how do you? I mean, you remember? You, no, yeah, yeah, but then you see, there are other pressing issues that we should be talking about tonight, and we are not talking about them. Again, this is where we are. This is where our country is. No, but I mean, I'm not agreeing with you on the principle. I'm agreeing with you on the way things have evolved over the years. You remember clearly when people say you came up, you came up, I will still vote for you. I mean, how much more do you need to be told to tell you how the electorate in Liberia think? So with that said, I mean, I think CMC is only trying to be politically expedient by taking this line because Dr. Richardson is very important to them and the role that she plays. And so they have to come out on the side of what is right. And I think, like I said, and I think that they did the right thing by coming up and issue that statement. But again, you cannot go to all the shows and monitor them because of this one incident. I mean, if it's relevant to CMC, maybe you might, and you should if it's relevant to CMC. But I mean, how many other people out there that goes on other platforms that has stake in CMC? You know, but I get your point, Dennis.
Even on Facebook, Ismail, can you come in why he goes offset and come back in?
Yes, I can come in. So, Dennis, we'll wait for you to come back on. In the meanwhile, Brother Dukla, I listened to what you were saying. But for me, you know, I understand that one wants to represent their party, have the right representation to the party. But
Yes.
just like you're saying, Liberia is a funny audience, and I put it that way.
Not the dumbest.
There are certain things that Liberians admire. Do you know when Darius Dillon became popular? He became popular when he threatened that anybody threw a rock at him, he would throw a rock back. All of a sudden, his popularity grew. So, you know, the way, just what you say, I don't know, it's trauma or what. But in my opinion, too, and this is where I look at loyalty as a very important part of political solidarity. And I think it was so fast for the CMC to come up with an apology so quickly. You know, I think they should have given Dr. Chinua a chance to correct herself before coming up with such an apology, because as it is now, I think there's going to be some fallout from this whole episode.
Yeah.
And due to that, I'm not sure how it will positively or negatively affect the party. I want to add one more thing. When the ANC was running, you know, they had an issue with dealing with public impression of some of their members. They were labeling them as elitists, and you know, and words like that, you know. And I don't think we should from coming from a history like Liberia. We should never want to appear to be elitist at all, because the grassroots elements will rebel against that sort of image. And so you definitely don't want to come off as an elitist, and you definitely don't want to come at or definitely as a bigot or any kind. So the party's image is very important, but at the same time, just like Ja was saying, how do you navigate? How do you navigate the public media? You know, as to what people say and what people don't say. You know, it's a very precarious situation.
Yeah,
but it can twist in either direction if you're not careful. If you react in the wrong way, you get the wrong results. So it's a tightrope to walk.
Dr. Pearson, let me start with you. What mechanism, if you agree that the CMC did it right, then what mechanism can they put in place so that going forward they can hold members accountable for their online conduct? You know how they're going to do it?
So you know, let me emphasize here. I do not agree with those who think that the CMC made a mistake by the way they respond. I think the response was measured. It did not go as far as condemning Dr. Francine, but not condoning the behavior on such a platform, which is widely viewed and listened to internationally and locally.
Is that the criteria? Would that be the criteria that when you're on an international platform?
If you recall, one of the things I said from the beginning of my opening was that CMC is a newly formed political party. CMC is trying to set itself apart from the rest of the other political parties, which of course, all of us, a majority of us, have one way or the other condemned in how they present themselves. So they want to set a standard.
What the yardstick is the CMC using?
It's right in the response. It's based on the code of conduct. Now, let me tell you this, Dennis. I so much admire that response because it's totally opposed to people like Daniel Sano, who is using Daniel Sano, who is using. That's giving chance. Daniel Sano, who is a deputy minister of information, is using the national platform to curse former president, to insult public officials who are not in office any longer. Are we saying we should say to Daniel Sano, and President Braga should have done exactly what CMC just did and fired Daniel Sano already? Even terminal PR, they should be fired, because these are not the kind of thing we're looking to see in our country moving forward into the next generation. So CMC is using a code of conduct. I wish all political parties had the same code of conduct that would discipline people for those kind of misrepresentation of the values of the political party. And there should be no political spin and no political cover up on those kind of things. The standard has to be there, and we should promote such moral standards in our body politics.
Is the party equipped with the resources and infrastructure necessary to monitor all social media activity of its official and partisan for violation of party standards? Because it's happened to present today, tomorrow it could be somebody else. So I want to see, the standard being set and how it's going to be implemented or enforced.
So Dennis, in public administration and management, whatever the case in leadership, you address issues that become visible. You don't address an offense that you've not seen. So, for instance, someone may have done a misdeed, a misconduct at one point in time, but it did not come to the attention of the administrator, whoever the person is. You cannot deal with that. So you cannot adjudicate a case that is not before the court. See, in similar case, if the matter has not reached the attention of the executive committee for deliberation, it will not be addressed. But if it is reported, it will be addressed based on the code of conduct. You make me seem like a CMC spokesperson.
No. This is because this is where I'm coming from, right? Because I'm faced with the same issue every day. Because you want to set a standard that you can apply to everyone across the board. So really, if you look at that letter, what is it saying? Is it saying that anytime a CMC official is online, regardless of the platform, and you say XYZ, we're going to do the same thing? Because I can tell you, a lot of the officials say worse things. Okay.
But then just give me 30 seconds. I think the CMC press release is self-explanatory. They said this. They said it has come to our attention. And because it has come to our attention, they say it has come to our attention, we've weighed the situation, and we understand the importance of the role of our global chair. So we have to address it.
That's fair enough. Somebody, because I've been in an organization where we have the benevolent committee, and then somebody died, and all these things, they are very tricky. So who should bring it to the CMC attention before it becomes a case? Will it be anybody? Will it be the CMC or task force or internet affairs? So these things are complicated. They are not that simple. Mr. Sharif, I want you to close on this.
It is not complicated, Dennis. It depends on the medium. If they were sitting in some small chat room somewhere, with 10 people following them, it won't be a big issue.
So the number of people, viewership matters.
Yes, that matters. Yes. The prominence. Yes. I talked about prominence earlier today in my opening. That matters a lot. This is a massive platform of which she is a part. And so, everybody is hearing the same thing. And CMC leadership is aware of that. They are cognizant of the negative picture that imposes now on the new political party. So they don't want that. So they're setting an example that others have failed consistently.
Yes.
Brother Pearson just mentioned, someone in the Ministry of Information who's paid with taxpayers' dollars, and they are insulting the president, the former president of the Republic of Liberia. This is with disdain. And nobody is doing anything about it. So it seems that the leadership is acquiesce to these, behaviors and stuff like that. So if you are paid with taxpayers' dollars, we expect better out of you. And the leadership did nothing. So CMC understands that. And so they're setting expectation in terms of, okay, we don't want our leaders, we don't want those in higher offices of this higher, the higher ranks of the CMC to do these things. If you're going to do them, you probably go out there somewhere in the corner, somewhere, some email. If this had been an email to Jackie, right? If this had been an email where Jackie didn't display this email to anybody, that would have closed it. That's it. Nothing comes off of those kinds of things. But it's because of the platform. It's because of the viewership, the number of people that are watching now. And so CMC understands that, and they reacted appropriately to the situation and not wait till, you investigate. We know in Liberia, nothing good comes out of investigation. I mean, how many times have, the president of the republic party, set up investigation? In Liberia, if you want someone to die a natural death, set up some kind of committee and go ahead and investigate, and then it would die a natural death. CMC wasn't going to do that. And, I mean, and I commend them for that. Now you've made us talk about this now, which is, I'm me and an unwilling participant in this discussion, because this is not really where we should be, what we should be even talking about. There are burning issues out there. I guess Jimmy loved this. I saw Jimmy, he loved it.
Thank you. And talking about burning issue, one of those burning issues is President Walker announces reduction in the price of eggs, building on earlier measures to stabilize rice and flour prices. So, Jimmy, I will start with you on this one. The press release says President Joseph Newman Boakai has announced a reduction in the wholesale price of eggs, as part of his government's ongoing price stabilization efforts. And it went on and on. Jimmy, I think we did economics, and I was good at it in high school. I even did it up to 400. I've never heard this. Is this economics or what is it?
Price control is a funny issue, and in a laissez-faire or free market economy, it is not recommended. They feel market forces should control the prices. What can happen when you try to control prices? You find black market creation. People start selling things on the side. People start hoarding. It is the best way to keep prices low is to encourage competition.
Yep.
And now what we're going to see now with this arbitrary price ceiling, some sellers will not even sell, because if it's not come on, people sell to gain profit, and if you limit the amount of profit somebody can gain, and you don't make it worth their while, they may desist. They may stop selling altogether. So it's a very touchy issue, and it has to be analyzed. And that's why we have our man there at Finance Now, who, these economists who study these things. For instance, there's something called inelastic demand. Inelastic demand refers to no matter how the prices vary, people will buy just as much, like rice. People always buy the same quantity of rice, whether it go up or down. So what happened when it goes too high, people start crying, and you have a rice crisis like in 1979. But at the same time, if you drop it too low, nobody will sell rice. So the move by the government, I think it is there to try to help people, with very little means. But it is a very delicate area to play with. And if you don't do it the right manner, if you don't go to the source and how you can counteract the price hikes and gouging, then you might fall short. And then next thing you know, you don't have goods on the market.
Thank you. And that's where I was going. What there is a proper analysis of the issue before coming up with a solution. But before I get there, something slipped my mind about to bring up, right? There was a group of people, so this group, let's say an ethnic group or a sub-ethnic group, say, oh, the people like fighting. So you know, say for instance, you go to Jimmy and say, oh, they say Bassa people like fighting. Then Jimmy say, who tell you it's player slap you? It's just a fight. So it reminded me when so the reason that Dr. Francine was enraged because they tried to align CDC with CMC, and she didn't like that, right?
Yeah.
And said, no, we are not part. But when the CMC press release was written, guess who wrote it? A Wiashian, Smith Tope.
Yes.
So I said, but wait now, what is this?
I saw
It
that.
was written by
You know,
Smith Tope.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because there may be some other. Was that sanctioned by the standard bearer? Did Musa sanction that press release?
Who believe, because I mean, he works as the public affairs person for CMC. This guy, he was deputy press secretary to President Weah. We interviewed him here 14 times. So it may not be a sedition, but you can tell that he's a Wiashian, as they would say.
Well, maybe
So
he crossed the carpet.
with him writing the press release and coming from CMC office, does that mean that Musa is getting his people from everywhere, or does it kind of suggest that CDC link? You don't have to answer. That's just rhetorical. Let's move on to the price.
Well, just before you finish, it was interesting that Eugene Fangon came up with an analysis. They said that the whole Musa ability involvement in ANC actually sabotage their whole efforts. And so today, the whole CMC looks like it is going to actually be a sabotage to other parties. That's what their whole intent is doing. Now you got Smith Toby, who is a close comrade of President Weah. What if CDC runs tomorrow? What will Smith Toby do? Let's think about that. Where will he be? Where will he stand? A lot going on in our politics.
Just information. The CDC administration was a coalition of more than one party. So it doesn't mean because someone worked in the CDC administration, it means they were of the CDC. They could be of another political party that affiliated with the coalition of political parties that he had.
But definitely he was not CMC. That we know for a fact. At that time.
Maybe he is now.
All right. So let's come back to our pricing, right? When the president set up this committee headed by the vice president, he said they call the rice people in. He said we're calling them 3-3 to come in and talk about reducing the price. Mr. Dukley, this is, I believe, it's going to work maybe for a while, but like building materials, I spoke with someone who is selling steel rod in Monrovia. He said the government has given monopoly to one company, and these people are pretending that they are producing steel rod in Liberia, but what they are doing, they are buying it from Ghana, importing it from Ghana, and the government is not allowing anybody else to do so. And the list goes on, right? The government look at that and say, well, come and reduce your price. I mean, how does that work, Mr. Dukley?
Well, that whole franchise is not sustainable, and we've seen this episode before. This is not the first time, if you recall. The CDC government tried the same thing, and what became of it? We all saw what happened. So, economically speaking, it's not sustainable. What is sustainable is to open the market to full competition and let the market determine the price. Let the market determine what is the right price for these commodities. And but it speaks to the nature and how our national government functions. I mean, what happened with the agencies that are legally responsible to carry on these kind of duties, like the Ministry of Commerce? I mean, to see the president personally involved in this matter the way he is speaks to the pressure the national government or unity party is under, and people are not satisfied, people are not happy, people are not, their lives are not improving. And so with the pressure mounting on them, the president, I see this exercise as one of a distraction from the monumental trouble that the unity party is in right now, as we can see. So like I said, this measure, this exercise is not sustainable. We cannot continue. Look, if we were producing the rice, if the rice were being produced in Liberia, I can see how this might have worked. But people are importing this rice, and my question when I heard this is the government going to subsidize the difference, or how is it even going to work? I kind of thought. Sorry.
So what someone said the government is doing is the tariff. So you reduce the tariff. So the taxes the importers are paying on these things, if you are charged, $10, bring it to $5, and that should affect how much they sell it on the local market. Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's not sustainable. So what's going to happen if you do that? If you reduce the tariff, then at the end of the year you are going to have a budget shortfall. I mean the national coffer. So as you know,
because those things are already projected.
Exactly. That's my point. So you already have projected this money in your physical calculus when you made your budget. So again, that's what I was saying. How are they going to do it? Because in the end, does the government have money? Because usually in properly functioning governments, there's always something they call contingency funds that are allocated for something like this. I mean, I'm not sure if our government is, you can consider it a properly functioning government, but even if it was, do they have the funds that can support this exercise? I doubt it. And so in the end, it's going to collapse. And if it collapses, as I think it will, it's going to have a ripple effect right across the national economy, because then what other commodity is there are they going to try to do the same thing to? No, you just mentioned the steel. I mean, maybe steel might not be as much in demand as rice and eggs are. But eventually, if you stick to this policy, you are going to collapse the local economy, and the national economy is also going to be affected, because your projected intake is going to be, there's going to be a shortfall of that income that was projected. And so how do you account for that shortfall? So again, this is very short-sighted. It's not well thought through, and it's not going to succeed. It's just not possible. I mean, we are a country that depends on this imported rice from all over the place, and the government doesn't have the fund. I mean, they've already misappropriated, I don't know how many $1 million from the national budget, and now you're going to talk about reducing the prices. I mean, sometimes they are so hasty, they are so in a rush to satisfy the demand of the masses, that they come up with these crazy ideas that it's not workable. It's just not workable. I mean, again, like I said, CDC tried it, and we all saw what happened to the CDC attempt when they were trying to price control. And historically speaking, we've seen other places where they've tried to price control, and it did not work. It doesn't work. And since we have a fragile economy, and we are trying to respond to the demand. I mean, look, this is not the way to respond to the demand of the masses by price controlling. No, you can't, and it's not sustainable.
Thank you. You raised a point about the functions of these line ministries and other agencies, right? Like the Commerce Ministry.
Yeah.
So when I heard this, the first thing I said, well, you have a director at JFK, and they say there are no beds, and then you say, okay, let me set up a committee to investigate and give me a solution. Why do you have the director?
Exactly.
So the Commerce Minister Magdalene Dokasa said yesterday, said following President Joseph Boakai's directive, keyword, following President Joseph Boakai's directive to reduce the prices of rice and other essential commodities, I am leading a nationwide inspection starting today to ensure that these prices are properly implemented. Our goal is simple: to protect consumers from unfair pricing and make basic goods affordable for every household. Mr. Sharif, how does the government do this? So, first of all, the question I have here is, you say, hey, you got to sell this price. So I'm going to visit your market to make sure. What mechanisms are placed to ensure that these new prices are followed? And if you don't follow, what happens?
Yeah, there are no mechanisms. It's just, it's a smooth screen. The whole thing is just a publicity stunt. So you put this out here, and you have thousands of people going around saying how great of a job the president has done, and you have supporters in all their media outlets spewing, this kind of nonsense. This is not economic policy. This is not a viable policy, as Brother Duke mentioned. Nothing in this recent pronouncement have we heard anywhere where we talk about how Liberia can become a food self-sufficient, independent, and not to continue to import from India. So a country of 5 million people, if you believe the census, is importing from a country of 1.5 billion people who are able to feed themselves, and I'm talking India, and then some, and then export to us. I mean, people are laughing at us. This is unacceptable, Dennis. People are laughing at us. So what do you do now? We're where we are now. 4 decades after 1979, when a proposal was being thought of, it was being conceived that the increase in the price of rice, the nation's staple diet, will sort of incentivize farming in the rural areas. Like this will be a good thing for farmers to produce. So they call them the producers. And for the political opposition at the time, they were, as the president said, they were in favor of the consumers. So, but the whole thing was not about rice. We already know that. Okay, we're not going to get into all of that. But
Exactly.
at this critical time right now, the policy of the government is not in the right direction, because you cannot go out there and a month later, what if these people decide to increase the price? Then you're going to go back on a nationwide tour to verify whether the price that we asked you to implement, whether that is still in place. I mean, this is really, I don't understand this. This is not a policy that's going to stay, and so the government need to retool this. I mentioned the other day, right? I mean, nowhere is the Ministry of Agriculture in this new arrangement, in this policy, in this implementation. Nowhere is the dormant Universal Liberia Agriculture Department. Nowhere are they in this. So we have to think long term. So in thinking long term, you want to bring out all these institutions, the College of Agriculture at the University of Liberia, Carrie, if Carrie is still there, the Ministry of Agriculture, if they are working correctly. I mean, all these institutions, the population in Monrovia, I mean, there's going to come a time where it's still going to be a crisis. We're still heading for a crisis. So yeah, this is this is a temporary move. Maybe this will buy you some time now. It may buy you 6 months to a year, and we will be right back here next year, Dennis. So this is not, this is not something to celebrate. If I'm advising the administration, I would say you go all out, a wholesome policy that includes all of these different institutions that I just enumerated. Look, there are thousands and thousands of people, unemployed people in Monrovia. Why is the government not ensuring that these people go to the rural areas? And I'm talking now, a new concept just came to my mind. Like, what about a public farm? What about, trucking people to the rural areas to make farm? China didn't start feeding themselves in this way, until after their revolution.
And Mr. Sharif, even in Monrovia, there's a lot of wetlands.
Yes.
We don't even have to go far.
Yes.
Let me come to Dr. Pearson. Dr. Pearson, let's look at the economic impact. What immediate effect can we expect for local businesses, importers, and consumers following these price reductions?
Thank you, Dennis. Good question. This is where, when we talk on this very esteemed panel, one of the things we normally highlight is the absence of data for public consumption in our country, right? So if I were to go on the Ministry of Commerce or the Ministry of Finance or give and take on the Ministry of, that's the central bank or maybe investment commission, wherever they should want to have it, and I can see a stream of data over time as to what is the trending price of rice on the rice market as expected by our government, and what the importers are bringing in the country against the different tariffs and taxes that they're waiving, and then what is their accrued total in terms of transportation, other costs, warehousing, and all the kind of stuff. And then we see a projection on the screen that says projected amount for wholesale would be XYZ, and projected amount for retail will be XYZ. They are no running a serious government, right? So, but there are two things I would say on this issue. One, if the government has reason to prove that the importers are falsely pricing their bill of lading that they're bringing in the country, giving false representation of the global price of rice, and then the investigation show that they are selling it exorbitantly compared to what the actual price should reflect, and they took a decree level intervention that we see from the president office. A decree today, rice price should be this tomorrow based upon the theft, that we have observed from our importers. Then I agree with them. But if I were to look back from my 2 semesters of economics and accounting that I did as an enrichment course, so it prepared me for having a broad mind on these kind of subjects, then it takes me to what kind of economy does Liberia have? I know Liberia does have a form of capitalist, form of economy, labor market system. Some would call it the free market system, where the competition and supply and demand determine the price on the market. So if the government is not able to ensure that the data is tracked in a public way with transparency, that even the common man like you and myself, because we're not big fish in the fry right now, can look up on their different websites and say, oh no, you know what, it makes sense. We're seeing the reflecting international price of rice on the market per metric tons. We're seeing they are giving projection of importation in terms of shipment and whatever the case is, and the different fees and charges that the ports have to warehousing and then transportation in Liberia, projecting those, and then rice will end up at this price for our common people, and this is what we're expecting from the importers. Then I can say President Barker, thumbs up for your economic advisor sitting right by you. But that's what I would say to the question you asked directly. We got the importers, we got the wholesaler, and we got the retailers for the viewers out there. The importers collect the money up front, right? When they bring the money, when they bring the goods in the market, they collect the money up front because the wholesaler come and pick up this highly demanded commodity on the market. They pick it up, they get the money in the pocket, the bank account, they're good, right? The wholesaler also get the money in the second in the cycle of supply. They get the money in the second phase very fast as well. Retailer run for everybody eat rice in Liberia. You can get rice today, you eat whole day, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody run for the rice from the wholesaler. The rice end up with the ordinary people. The ordinary people who trying to sell it back up. Pray tell me, the importer is importing with US dollar and selling the rest with US dollar. The wholesaler is buying the rest with US dollar and most likely selling it with US dollar. The common man buy with US dollar because they got to look for it to satisfy the wholesaler, and they sell it on Labor Day. The exchange rate is suffering inflation. When the common man buy the rest at a rate in US dollar to go sell it by cup in LD, he loses on his business just by doing that. When he goes to convert to US dollar to go buy rice again. Our president comes up one morning and wake up, shake himself, some economic advisor advising, make a decree right now. Let PRC government doing decree 88 times. Made that decree right now. No window of transaction to give a buffer or a cushion for the people who come up who get arrested in the market. Tomorrow morning, commerce minister say we'll go in the market. Anybody will say we see certain rest at certain price, we confiscate your goods, knowing the kind of people who got in Liberia. They will put the people goods in the truck and will not even know what they carry. In the pickup, but will not know what they carry. The common people are the victim. So what I say to you, Dennis, look, our actions in Liberia and our governance system must be based on evidence-driven decision-making processes, not knee-jerk responses. And I will end there. I think man water is the one suffering. Sam Jackson will say that man water is going to suffer tomorrow because, first of all, that price change is not going to affect the importer. He got money up front. The wholesaler got money up front. The goods got stuck with the market woman in Plibo, in Solokin, down in Sastan. For them to come to town to get even the US dollar to buy that rest again, when transportation out to it, they are going to suffer miserably because our government is now performing on data-driven decision.
Thank you. Jimmy, let's conclude on this one. When the government looked at gasoline, for instance, and felt that, hey, people are not, the way the gasoline looking, so what we're going to do, LPRC is now going to import gasoline. You think this could be a solution that government, okay, you are lying about the rice, you buy the rice $10 and you want to sell it $20. So what we do now, government will be the one importing rice. You think that's going to work? That was the whole point of the PR4, the Pusawa, right?
Right.
You know, we might as well go to a socialist government, because if we're not allowing the free market to determine our prices, and we're trying to enforce price control, then eventually we are leading ourselves toward a government-controlled market, which is socialism or communism. So what the solution, Jeff, to this problem about we have to encourage production or a production of an alternative good. The other thing when you study economics, in other words, to keep the price of one commodity down, you have the alternative goods available that people can buy. Now, if there's no alternative to rice, like cassava, like plantain, like edos, those are the things. If you tell the people, say, look, we're producing all these other things. If you can't get the rice too expensive, buy these other things.
Right.
But by simply trying to force price control like this, all the economics I've ever read, this is not the way to do it. You do it in a socialist state, or a state tending toward government control in the market. That's the only time you do things like this. But just like my brother Sharif said, maybe this is a temporary measure. Our food business is very, we had a whole 1979 crisis for this food business. So I know, I think the UP government is being sensitive to the cries of the people. They're not waiting for it to get out of hand, but at the same time, you have to come up with real solutions.
But do you remember when they invited the rice importers? I think it was at the right.
I think the vice president is assigned on that committee.
Yeah. So these band-aid solutions, they don't work.
They will call, you need experts. You don't need politicians to solve this problem. You need economists. You need business people. Those are people who will solve the problem.
But then let me just throw this in quickly, Mr. Eastman. Price control works if you have the data to back the price that you want to project on the market forces, right? So, say for instance, like what I said, if you have the data analysis that point to the fact that based on these metrics, this is the possible determinant in terms of what the price will be or look like. Yes, that thrown at us. That presidential decree thrown at us. There's no supporting documents to show how they derive those metrics. You know, how they derive what are the factors that they use, the variables they use to derive the price. Because you can't just wake up one morning and just say red spread will reduce. Let's just it up. If your mind born you good, you must say red spread, my people. But you're so happy to you. You can do that on a democracy. You know, your mind born you good. If you say anybody say red, you can do that. You gotta say, listen, these are the variables that are playing here. And then at the end of this analysis, this is what we expect the price of rice to be. Same thing for any other goods on the market. That's how you do a labor market pricing if you are to have some level of influence as a government.
But this capitalism, or what you call the liberal market pricing, this is not the only way, right? You have other ways.
But even look at the fact that they said with immediate effect. Now, when you say with immediate effect, what happens? Are you saying this for the rice that is already in the country, or
Right.
the shipment that is already on the way? I mean, it's just so confusing. And like I said, this thing was not thought through properly, because how do you make that determination? Look, this is going to encourage people hoarding, and they are going to create artificial shortage on the market, and that will be a reason for them to jack up the price to where it was. I mean, this is not going to be sustainable. I mean, like the example I just cited, how are you going to determine the price? Is it on the price of the rice that are already in the country, or the one that is already on its way coming, and you will start from there? I mean, how do you even make that determination? It's just confusing.
Let me add to Mr. Clarence. I'll just stop very shortly. Dr. Pearson, you are right about certain things, but do you know when these price controls work, regardless of the metrics and the studies? You either have to provide subsidy.
Yes.
And this is what we had been doing in the past.
Yes.
If we were providing subsidy, we've had this problem. This problem is just not today.
That's right.
You know, but can we afford to subsidize the price of rice now? That government will find themselves facing to do that very soon, because when that shortage is created, they will have to provide subsidy for them to maintain the price at where they want it.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is Between the Headlines on Focus on Liberia. We discussed the CMC's apology, also the President Rice Committee. We have more issues, but let's talk about Nimba County. I don't know if a coincidence, you know, post Prince Johnson era in Nimba, we have Koung, Kou. The 3 Ks are it. So it started with some clash between Senator Samuel Kogar and Vice President Jeremiah Koung. It looks like they are, trying to fight over who actually steps into the shoes of the proverbial kingmaker. Kogar is saying, hey, and his supporters say, asking the vice president to concentrate on national issues and leave Nimba with them. And you could see the long-range plan, because somebody wants to be that kingmaker. Somebody wants the person for the country to be looking at them and say, okay, if this person says something, the next Prince Johnson. It's just difficult to have another Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson is his own kind, but it looks like that's the fight. On the other hand, we have Kogar again, Senator Kogar, and the superintendent said the money that is coming for the county, say from Metal Steel and other places, is for the county development. It's not for government projects. So he's calling for an audit of the office of the superintendent. And you know what she said? He said Kogar is not a susupa for Nimba County. Mr. Sherry, let me start with you on this thing. Let's look at post Prince Johnson Nimba County.
Yeah. So Nimba County, to me, needs a lot of help, needs a lot of our help, and if I may, our prayers too, because so Nimba County is not celebrating its best, sons and daughters. you know, you have Tier 1 Gongolo, you have people like, you know, Carpet Doyen, you know, good, decent people. You have either good, decent people are not the ones that these ethnocentric, you know, tribalists are listening to. So these people are whipping up, you know, the ethnocentric ideology, ethnocentric ideals of, you know, earlier times. And they thrive in this too, because every politician is gravitating towards Nimba County, because this Nimba County has been blessed with one of the largest population in the country. And so we always, I mean, how many times? It's so boring now. Every newspaper pick, oh, vote rich Nimba, vote rich. I mean, so this is what these guys are standing on. What do you think Prince Johnson, the whole time he was in the Senate, what was he doing? I mean, he was buying loyalty. Okay, people are purchasing loyalties from him. If Prince Johnson has to be on your side, and if Prince Johnson endorses you, you are likely to win that election. It's proven. It's a fact. I know some people are going to come up here now, you know, who don't read perhaps, or they don't do a simple Google search to say, well, it's not true. But yes, it is true that Prince Johnson was a powerful force in Nimba County. I mean, forget about all the atrocities and different things. It's people embraced him despite all of the criminality, despite all of the criminal activities that he committed. Now the new guys that are filling in their shoes, you know, are copying Prince Johnson. And who is the epitome of that? Kogar, Samuel Kogar, a misogynist, another tribalist, a guy who is, you know, I don't know how much reading and writing he does, but this is the person now who is positioning himself in place of Prince Johnson. And a lot of people, Dennis, unfortunately, a lot of Nimbayans, a lot of my compatriots from Nimba County, because I was born in Nimba County, people listen to him than anyone else right now. So you have on the other side the vice president who says that he's you know part of the we don't know what ethnic group the vice president. Let's put that in perspective, okay? Dennis, you don't know, I don't know, nobody on this platform I don't think knows what ethnic group the vice president is from. But that is not
I know.
Well, what is it?
He's a Mandingo.
Okay, thank you. Okay, but that's not what he said he is.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
All the pretensions about, you know, I'm a dime man, I'm a this and that, I'm going to do all of this. So you have people who are not even sincere to themselves. Okay, so this is what's going on in Nimba County. It's despicable how many Nimbayans gravitate towards these kinds of characters. Characters like Prophet Key, they gravitate towards these kind of despicable characters in the Nimba society.
Is that a Nimba problem?
It is a Nimba problem. It is a Nimba problem that has now, Dennis, become a Liberian problem. Look at the drug infestation. Look at the drug crisis in Liberia. Where did all this start? Where did Chancellor start all this? He started this in Nimba County, and now all of a sudden we are now infested with drugs and everything else, with criminality and everything else. That stuff started in Nimba County, unfortunately. And so instead of, you know, so what happened in Nimba County was a lot of us, you know, coming up in high school and this and that, we understood. We understood. We were very well informed. Somebody like myself, I was very well informed. I understood what was going on against the people of Nimba County. I understood these things. So I was on the right side. Historically, I have always been on the right side. So we understood, and we were very sympathetic to what was going on. We were very sympathetic to the people, to the dons and mons of Nimba County. But once they brought the Civil War and enlisted despicable people.
Are you seeing that in Nimba people brought a Civil War?
Once they supported that civil enterprise, once they jumped on that wagon, because it was a project.
Maybe they were conscripted, but
It was
but
a.
let us not go.
But
Let us not go
Dennis,
there.
Dennis, hold on. We just talk about CMC the whole time. Let's talk about this.
No,
They
we're
were
talking about Nimba. I don't want us to go to the war.
It is
And
Nimba. It's relevant. This is relevant to Nimba. They
Okay.
was conscripted into it, and once they were on board,
So they're forced.
this was something
conscripted
they
is
always.
forced.
This was something they always wanted to do, Jimmy. They were looking for a leader. So once they got that leader, they did whatever they had to do. So it has to be. It's the bitter truth, but it has to be said. And so they derail our revolution. We were clamoring. Those of us who were.
No, man, I can't accept that
derail.
because the revolution
These
was
people.
derailed when the military took over the thing.
These people, but you have to look at.
I don't want to go. I don't
You
want
have to
go
look at
deep.
different facets. You have to
Yeah,
look at different
I don't
facets.
want to go there, Mr. Sharif.
They derail.
Let's come back.
They derail our revolution. These people.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
I don't think it's fair for you to say that.
All of what you see now.
I said, Dennis, I think we got to disassociate the platform for this statement that man is making.
All of what you see now. All of what you see now is the result of what happened before, and these people are going to continue to do the same thing over and over. Instead of dissociating yourself from me, might as well dissociate from Koga. Why is people voting for this kind of character? Why are people still voting for these? Why are we still watching Prophet Key? Let's dissociate ourselves from those characters. Let the collective environment dissociate themselves from these people.
The broad brush of Nimba, right? That would not be fair.
No, not at
all. So let us leave from.
But I just named characters. I just named characters to you.
You were saying,
I named characters to you.
People derailed the revolution. And all
these people, and they know it.
When you say these people, who are you talking about?
No, Mr. Sherry. Mr. Sherry, the whole breakaway started.
So the truth, right? The truth hurts. I just said it in the lead up to my discussion. I said they are great sons and daughters. Why are they not following these great sons and daughters of Nimba County? Over here we have Tier 1 Ganglo and the rest of Tier 1 Ganglo.
Let me go to another person, right?
Why are they not following Carpet Duane and others?
Because, but
why?
Breaking news.
Why
news. According to Abdullah Dukle, Jeremiah Kou is a Madingo man.
I want us to be respectful of Jeremiah Kou, what he says. I mean, his father that I know come from my hometown. So all along we know him as the group of Grebo come from Sanu called Jiripo, so he's a Jiripo man from my hometown.
I don't know what he is. Some people know what he is.
Just for the record, I have spoken to an individual who is a biological sister who and
he said the same thing about George Weah, that his father was somebody else. So I don't know.
By the way, this is not in dispute, as a matter of fact.
How can you say that, Mr. Dugwe?
Because the vice president has never come out and said no. Has he?
And has he come? No, he has identified every day that his father is.
Yes, and that's a known fact. It's a known fact that gentleman that he claimed to be his father actually married his mother. But is that gentleman his father? I don't think he has disputed that.
No, he said anyway. Yeah. I don't want us to go there. Let us hold him by what he says.
Yeah.
His father is Adam Town, who comes from my hometown. Right? So let's leave it at that.
Dennis don't want to get into the juicy part of it.
This
one is too
tough. Anyway.
Let's not get into that.
Here is the does Nimba Mr. Dooley, does Nimba need a godfather? Because it seems that there is a rush to step in that shoe. Does Nimba need a political godfather like Prince Johnson?
Yes, this is where you see.
You say yes?
No. I mean, I was saying yes to the question, not. Does
Nimba need a godfather? Yes or no?
No, Nimba doesn't need a godfather.
Say yes.
Now, Nimba doesn't need a godfather, and I think this notion of, we need to carry on what Prince Johnson started. With Prince Johnson was very charismatic, in terms of the way he conducted himself with the Nimba Electric. But you know what? Over those years, there were people who were saying that what you see Prince Johnson doing is a time bomb. It's going to come and explode. And I think we are at that moment where everything in Nimba was always square between Gil and Mano. And this reminds me of what one elder, one Robert Simca. I'm sorry, I'm not even sure if I said that name right. This Robert man is the chairman of the Council of Chiefs and Elders in Nimba. He said, I think it was in May or June. He said, "Look, Nimba is not for only the Gio and the Manos. There are other people that live in Nimba, Madingos, some Basas, the Bi, and other tribes." And he said, so this notion of Gio and Mano is not sustainable. And now we can see with the demise of Prince Johnson is now coming to surface this massive division. On one hand, you have the vice president who wants to consolidate his power by reinforcing his tribal line, and then you have Kogar, who seems to want to declare himself as the right, person who will carry on whatever Prince Johnson had at the expense of the people of Nimba. And so really this is going to create more division. Yes, Nimba might have the numbers, but I can tell you the way things are going, those numbers are going to be fractured. And when those numbers are fractured, it's going to lead to an unexpected consequence whereby the dominant party, as we know it, will no longer be the dominant party because those numbers are going to be chipped away by all the other small groups or organizations or parties that are going to be competing in Nimba. And so what you see happening right now is the struggle to keep that particular dominance that Prince Johnson had. But it's not sustainable because they are not Prince Johnson. They don't have what Prince Johnson had. The people are not relating to them as much as they related to Prince Johnson. And like I said, they don't have half of what Prince Johnson had. And so Prince Johnson hid behind the fact that he fought for them or what he did was for them. Who among them can say that now? None of them. And so the only way they can try to make themselves relevant is by playing the ethnic card. And by playing the ethnic card, they are going to alienate some other people that are supposed to be their allies, And people are not taking into account there is a considerable non-Gio and Mano people in Nimba County. And so if you try to alienate them, it's going to come to bite you come election. And so Samuel Kogar had just proven to me how incompetent he is politically speaking. He's not able to galvanize whatever Prince Johnson started so that moving forward, they can continue their dominance. And so I'm totally in agreement with what the chief, the head of the chiefs and elders in Nimba said, that if they do not conduct themselves properly, things are going to explode, and they are going to explode in a way that nobody expects.
Thank you. Dr. Pearson, let me come to you now. In your assessment, to what extent did Prince Johnson's legacy and networks shape current context for political dominance in Nimba County? How is each contender leveraging their connection to Johnson's political machinery? And I'm talking Kou and Kogar.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. I think the Nimbans are in a situation that is new to them, a territory that is new to them. Prince Johnson, former Senator Prince Johnson, dominance in Nimba politics cannot be understated or overstated, I should say. Filling that void is going to be a very big challenge. I think there are two things that I see in Nimba right now. Samuel Kogar does seem to have a local eldership endorsement, while Koung seem to have what you will call Prince Johnson's endorsement through the MDR for vice president when we were bargaining with President Joseph Yeman Boycott. But the fact that Kogar had a level of acceptance to the place where he was the one chosen to seem to traditionally inherit the authority of Prince Johnson, going to play a major role in the Nimba politics, despite that Kou is vice president. Now, let us not overlook the fact that Nimba has never had a competing political rivalry like we have right now. Even during Senator Johnson's time, Nimba have never had a senator plus a vice president, both competing for permanence in the county. So Koung seems to have the vice presidency and former Senator Prince Johnson endorsement for his party, but does not seem to have the traditional endorsement of the Nimba people. Perhaps it goes back to the fact that you guys are already arguing his lineage, right? And that may have a very strong politics to play in Nimba. Is Koung really in Nimbayan as Kogar is in Nimbayan? It said the reason why Koung was not preferred over Kogar to jump over former Senator Prince Johnson's body to seem to be inheriting the authority that Prince Johnson, in his own person, standing up before them, lay hands on Vice President Koung. I heard Kogar say that he respects Koung a lot because in his very presence, former Senator Prince Johnson did tell him that Koung was his choice to replace him in Nimba County. And so he's trying to show some respect to Koung in that regard. But at the same time, he cannot withhold his own political ambition, and he will do everything possible to undermine Koung to get that political godfathership. Let me say this to Kogar. Probably he will listen or someone will tell him, listen, Kogar, the fact that Prince Johnson lay his hands on Koung and say Koung is my son and turn Koung over to President Boyka and say this is the guy I trust to lead my party and to be my representation with you. It says a lot in terms of how leadership was transmitted to him traditionally in that county. However, though you may have the traditional sway and legitimacy to lineage as compared to Koung, I will caution you because the division in Nimba does not play to the dynamics of Nimba politics in terms of its strength at the polls. If you guys split Nimba in half over your division and your politics of who would dominate Nimba, you definitely hurt Nimba standing in the presidential and legislative elections to come in 2029, and Nimba will lose that edge that she normally have. I will close by saying this. Dennis, I will caution Nimbayans. There is something very unique about Nimba in our body politics. There's no president in Liberia except former president, what is his name, Taylor, who won the presidency without Nimba's vote. If you guys destroy that legacy, fighting over who will be dominant, at the end of the day, you will lose that political edge. And if you lose that political edge, you become a helping verb on both sides of the coin coming from Nimba. Kogar will be a helping verb, and Koung will be a helping verb, and former President George Manneh will win the elections come 2029.
Thank you. And talking about, I think sometimes we need to give Nimba, more credit than it deserves, because talking about tribe, right? There's also, just like you are saying about Jeremiah Koung, his father not from Nimba, not Gribble as he says. The same with Prince Johnson, we heard the same thing, right? In fact, somebody told me Prince Johnson's father is from Sierra Leone. Some say his father is Gribble. He said, tell me any other person who is Johnson in Nimba besides Prince Johnson. But Prince Johnson was able to identify himself as a Nimbayan, and he got a support, right? So I don't know what would be different in the case of Koung if both of them, their fathership is in contention. But so let's take them by who they are or who they say they are. But Jimmy, my question to you here now is: we saw the election. We saw how Jeremiah Koung campaigned for Samuel Kogar. Did he dress his own devil?
Yes, he did. I don't know. The Nimba people, one thing I think about them is that they after the dust settles, they will move as one, and that they've been showing this. Of course, at the time, Prince Johnson was the patron for the county, or the what do you call it, the susupa.
Yeah.
But I think they will come together eventually. I don't see them really splitting. The only split I know about in Nimba is the Mono, Gio, and Mandingo split. Other than that, they will come together and with one voice. They have a way of coming together, and I think that's what will happen in the end. But what we are witnessing now, we should expect it. You know, who will take the reins of Nima? I think it's a natural progression, and at the end of this little squabble that's going on, there will emerge a leader, and the Nima people, the majority will be behind that one leader. That's how I look at it.
Thank you. Before we bring in our callers, let me hear from you, Mohammed. How do we move forward? Before we even go there, let's bring in the case with the superintendent, right? So Koga is fighting fighting at two fronts. He's saying, let's order the superintendent because you are using the money to promote, for government project. That's not the purpose. And then the superintendent is firing back. During the election, it was also alleged that the superintendent was withholding county development funds from people. He said, we'll give you this only when you support Koga. So it's like now Koga is to a point that he's being, he's senator. And so it looks like the revolution eating his own baby now, or what's going on?
Yeah, as Prince Johnson would say, right? But that is that whole fight is about money now. So at the end of the day, if they can meet somewhere in a room, somewhere in some conference room, and talk about money and what each is going to get, I think that dies down. That fight about auditing the superintendent, for me, I hope that's with good intention. If that's with good intention, you get 100% of my support. All these superintendents, everybody, the legislators themselves should be audited. So that's where you want to start. You don't jump up and go and talk about, let's audit the superintendent. I think that's about money. That's about what the superintendent is not, what he's not getting from the superintendent. So I don't put enough stock into that. They're going to iron that out when they meet. If they meet in a room to sort of talk about the money, because that's all these guys are. They're all very corrupt to the neck. They're not serious about development of these counties. I mean, you give a superintendent a county development fund, and you get no report back, and you continue to do the same thing over and over and again. You don't get any receipts. You don't get any report. There's no sort of review. Over here in the United States, you have different reviews. You have, reviewers. You have auditors that will go on site to look at these projects and different things of that nature. You don't have that with us. So I don't know. I don't really put enough stock into that. It's the power game that they're all and I know he's probably going to emerge as the winner of this fight. This is a big fight. He's probably going to emerge as the winner of this fight.
In the long run. Yeah. If you just joining us and want to be part of the conversation, 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. And Mr. Sharif, even though my dream job of being Sino superintendent suffers some setbacks, but there is still hope. Because I mean we need that. But let me bring in one caller who is waiting on the line. And that's Mr. Kalebo Gonglo. Mr. Gonglo, you're live.
Yeah, Raymond.
Yes, Dennis, good evening. Good evening, guys. I have a few comments to make. I hope I have the chance to say I'm the only caller so far. I'm not going to deal with the Sherry issue. I think Dennis cut that off. I want to start by quickly making a few corrections quickly. And I will begin with the moderator himself, Mr. Dennis Jar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Dennis chose some words to say Koga is fighting the Subitan. You know, I think this is what breeds tension and fight unnecessarily in our society. When you start using the word fight, it connotes a conflict.
No political fight.
You know, no, it's not a political fight. It's not even a political fight.
Oh.
It's an issue of governance. It's an established rule under the PFL law, the Public Financial Management Law, that when you receive tax dollars and you expend it at the end of every year, GSC audit. In some instances, there could be a request for special audit as well, sometimes forensic audit. So when somebody can say, oh, I would like to audit, I think Dennis Jar has gone for a while, Dennis Jar should be audited. It's not a fight. So if you are a journalist and your platform is useful, your only choice is to say, you're not even choosing the word, oh, Koga is calling for transparency, but you say Koga is fighting. You are trying to picture Koga in a very negative way. I think it's wrong. I disagree with that.
Yeah, maybe you're understanding the word fight differently, but I'll give it to you. But if Koga is not also calling for the audit of where he sits, the legislature.
But Dennis, we can go to ChatGPT send us a letter and let's look at the denotative and connotative meaning of a fight. A fight is not calling for transparency.
These senators, when they are running, they say, I'm going to fight for you. That's a fight, right?
So,
he said no.
You are stressing it too far. To call for transparency is not a fight. It's conforming in context to governance issue. Okay? That's one. The second correction, and I want to make, and I've said this many times to non-Nimbayans. Non-Nimbayans project themselves as experts on Nimba politics. And they are there wrong on many instances, I should say, all of the time.
What?
Now, every time, the Nimba people don't say the Sano people, the Lofa people. It's not, you think of Nimba, more than 500,000 people as a monolithic group of people who just have one way of thinking. It is not true. Nimba is one of the most diverse countries in Liberia. Maybe I would say next to Monserrado, where you can find almost all the tribes. Look at the 2020 census data. All the 50 ethnic groups, Grebo, Koung, Kisi. In fact, Kisi is one of the fastest growing ethnic groups in Nimba. Okay? So the fight.
I get your point. They use that broad brush everywhere. They say southeastern people, Lofa people. You know,
it's wrong.
It's wrong. It's wrong, but it's not just Nimba. That's what I'm saying.
So we're not one group of people. So so when they talk about, I think when we sit on this platform, the way we should drive, and I have a lot of respect for FOL, the way we should drive the argument, the public narrative is this: our country is actually went down the drain, one bad government after the other. Do we want, because I see the same mindset on the part of some Nimbayans, not all Nimbayans, some, maybe very minute, not even majority, that, Nimba too should have time, send Lofa has a government that 58% to 58 to 65% of the government appointees are Lufian. We too should have time to practice our own bad attitude to.
That was the Prince Johnson politics.
No. It's even prevalent today. When the talk about Nimba, to Dennis is not from Nimba because there are many chat rooms. I mean, most of the chat room, they say some people say they couldn't follow.
How you know I'm not from Nimba?
Because I know you. Yeah.
Do you know my right? You know my wife is from Nimba,
you
right?
You are from Doriche and Sando. I slept in your village before. I'm not Matthew Sati. You know myself. I've talked about this many times. So the thing is, so that mindset. I think where Liberia is now, the advocacy that all Liberians should be not a race to each country producing their own or devil. It should be a race to looking for an acceptable visionary leader that we can begin to compare with the governments of Africa. We can begin to compare with this guy, Ibrahim Traore and other, George John Rawlings. If Rawlings was my very good person that I really admire, because he changed Ghana. We should begin to say, who among us in Liberia can take this country from the doldrums where we are, economic malady? Everything in Liberia is going down the water. Education data, poor. Healthcare, poor. Economy, poor. Corruption index, poor. Out of all the countries in the world, we are ranked number 8 poorest country, right? From the bottom. So what does that mean? All of it, Dr. Pearson and others, all of us can talk about poverty. When you're talking about poverty, it means it has major implications. Those who are not eating nutritious food, that means the children are not developing good, they actually will be poor, they will not learn good things. It has so many implications. This is where our country is.
Thank you.
And we should be arguing for that, not for, they don't want to have it, people will not hold together. So you want to hold together for a bad leadership? Is that what you guys want? I think we should be arguing for the best. That's my argument.
I think that what they are doing. What you make of the price?
No. That's not what they're doing. And that's not what FOL panelists are put here. They want Nimba to produce. I'm not bad president.
No, I didn't hear that. That's not what I heard.
Oh, I mean, but okay, when you hear Nimba or not, Dr. Pearson say, then the drill of Nimba presidency will not hold. I mean, what it means? What does it suggest?
But Mr. Gongolo, the very thing you are arguing against is one that is promoted by the Nimba politicians.
Ready to lead out of the economic malice now? The guy who knew is synonymous with corruption, and I can challenge. I actually follow Koung discourse, public statement, which he has made very few when he was in the legislature. He has never used the word corruption, because he's an embodiment of corruption. So he's scared to use the word corruption, because it's like a boomerang, so it bounces in his face.
Mr. Gongolo.
Right. Mr. Gongolo.
Mr. Gongolo, why are you working for Kogar? Are you working for Kogar now? Are you in agreement with him?
No.
No, you see,
Mr. Gongolo, I want you to comment on the pricing, on the price committee. Because when you just talk about Nimba, then you fall into the Nimba trap. So I don't want you to just talk about Nimba.
When President Bouakai set up the price committee, when he even issued the executive committee, I went on my Facebook page and I said, this is so bad. And what it makes Liberia to be a very dull country. And there are a lot of smart people in Liberia. Because the question, just a common question to ask is, Charles Sudo have plans committee. Charles Sudo issued a executive to reduce very fast. Ellen Johnson said he did the same thing. Georgia did the same thing. So if all the government keep doing the same thing, it means that policy is a bad policy, is not workable. Why you go to do the same thing?
Thank you.
What Abu Anstan said, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. It's predictable.
Thank you.
It's not workable. It's just common sense on the face of it. Looking at the history of the recent 3 or 4 presidents, they all have race committee. They all have intervened in the market. Why you keep intervening in the market when government can actually come up with a sustainable policy?
Thank you. Thank you,
Why you
Gongolo.
can do that?
Thank you, and that's why we will depend on your statistics so that we can get more numbers. Right now, Liberia is somebody say a data desert. Evans Morris, you are live. Go ahead. You have 1 minute.
All right, thank you, Mr. John, and hello to the panelists. Quickly, I want to say, that Pearson made a very smart analysis when he was talking about the price, of the rice and how the president is trying to set price by decree. And that's one of the problems. If Liberian people can vote on 1 or 2 issues that's really important to them, and for most people it's the economy and maybe the educational sector or the health sector, And they put a guy in there who was living on loans, who personally was pretty much bankrupt. And you expect that man to make economic policy that's going to affect your lives in a positive way. And he's making decrees and probably don't even understand how market forces work. And, you know, he can make a fitting economic policy to save his life.
Please ask him one question for me. You know, I met some of them the other day, and I said, "Ed, at the same church yesterday, black people cannot join." That would have ended it.
Number 12.
Yes.
Dennis, Dennis, Dennis is at it again.
See? So yeah, the LU situation is quite dire
Yeah.
because it needs funds, it needs finances, and now students don't pay any tuition at all. So even the little money they were getting for operational expenses, they're not getting that now. So they are fully dependent on the government. So when this new president was appointed, I'm sure she thought she was going to get the finance necessary to restore the university to where it was. But apparently that has not been the case. I'm hearing on the ground that even teachers are not being paid. So that is some dire straits to be in. And just like you say, but now who told you to go there? That place is not easy to govern. Then you have the students on the other hand, very militant, and Sue has been that way. But at the same time, you have to know how to deal with them. I think Ellen Johnson really did well with dealing with them. How are you going to deal with a radicalized group who justifiably they're not in school, they cannot learn, this campus is in shambles? What will you tell them? You see, maybe if a Liberian could to talk, maybe be able to tell them something, but as an American or as a foreigner, you can only tell them what you have been told. Where are the finances? How can you get it? So I wouldn't want to be in her position. And even though that's my alma mater, I wouldn't want to run that place as it is now until I know there's some funds secured to restore that university to where it should be. Um, some would say that this problem was brought on by the past administration who granted free tuition for for the university. I think that's probably part of the problem. So now the government, they did not make the decision to reinstate tuition. So that means they have to find the money. And have they found the money? So this problem really shifts back to the UP government. What are you going to do about the LU situation? This is out of the hands of the president. Okay, it requires money, it requires funding, and have you appropriated enough for that in the budget? If you haven't, then you sent the person there for failure. I think it's unfair to send somebody there and set them up for failure when you know very well that you are losing an ally. She might have been able to get some funding from abroad, but as the situation dictates right now, I don't know. We don't even know when LU will open anymore. It is a very serious situation, and I wouldn't wish it on my enemy self.
I'm told on Monday.
Yeah. Mr. Dubley can go ahead until Dennis can come. You want to go next?
Go ahead.
Mr. Dubley, go next.
Yeah, this is just very difficult. But Jimmy, on this particular platform, we predicted that Dr. Mapaya is going to have a hard time succeeding, and she's not going to fail because she is not the right person to lead the university. Her failure will be due to the environment she finds herself in. I don't know when was the last time any capital project of the university was done. I know, in my understanding of how these large institutions are run, you expect things to break down, you expect things to deteriorate, and haven't gone through what we've gone through. So these things are a must. They will happen. Now, your ability to deal with it in a way that will reflect your work, that's what makes a difference. And you see, I remember during Ellen time when the students from the University of Liberia were rioting, and she was able to talk to them. And I remember watching that video where she said to them, listen, guys, I'm not in any way dismissing your demands, but I think there is a proper way to channel your demand so that they can be looked into, so that they can be addressed accordingly. She said to them, violence is not going to resolve any of your problems. What I would request from you now is to set up, point out people who are going to be negotiating on your behalf so that we can, my team would meet with them and we can discuss the issues. I mean, it's normal. The way the student politics has been conducted at the University of Liberia is long standing, and they've been very militant in the way they conduct themselves. And we have tolerated that to go on over this year. So I think that's our own creation. But the problem is so enormous to the point where it's going to take some level of very good funding to be appropriated to that university. Otherwise, we are going to be in this circle where one president will come, he or she will fail because there's not adequate funding to carry on even some of the basic needs. I mean, how can somebody ask for $44 million and you give them $33 million and somebody said that's just a conservative estimate. That's only for the salaries. Again, it brings me back to this notion where CDC said free tuition. These things are not well thought out. They are not really look, to put it simply, this lack of tuition is a subsidy. It's subsidizing education. Now, but you need to have the budgetary allocation to be able to deal with that tuition that is not being paid to the coffers of the university.
Exactly.
So you can't just come out of nowhere and say, oh, okay, free tuition, and you don't have the finances to back it up. So again, like I said, I'm reminded here where I am in this province, where whatever you pay in tuition is the equivalent of 25% of what it actually costs. Meaning 75% of the tuition is subsidized by the government. And so right now, I think it was a very bad idea. This notion of no tuition, it was a very bad idea, because I have a friend who is a student at the university. She was the one telling me today that according to what she heard, school's supposed to start on Monday. She said to me, even on Fendel, I thought my impression was, my understanding was that this dilapidated buildings, and I thought it was only on main campus. And she said to me, Duke, even my classes are on Fendel. The only functioning building in that on that campus is the Chinese building. They call it the Chinese building because they do have some Chinese staff that teach Chinese, and the instructors are living there. I think there's a quarter there. And she said to me, that's the only functional building. In fact, I'm going to make a live, or I will record a video and send it to you so you can see Fendel. Because I thought that all the mess we talk about is only on main campus. She said, no, it's only on main campus. She said, there's no functioning toilet in Fendel. I was like, really? She said, yeah. So this is not a new problem. This problem has been there. They have not paid the requisite attention to these problems. And until they pay the requisite attention to these problems, we're going to be in this same circle again. Dr. Mapaya was well intentioned, but you see, the students are going to look at her as some foreigner who doesn't know what they've been through, who doesn't. I'm not even sure if they are convinced that she actually cares about their well-being on that campus. And again, I don't think their anger, their frustration should be directed at Dr. Mapanya. Dr. Mapanya was well-intentioned. She tried to do her best, but she found herself in an environment with a circumstance that is very difficult because these guys, the United Party government, seeing the university improve is none of their priority. It's not anywhere closer to the priority orders. So I mean, what do you expect? I mean, this is the National University of Liberia, and we are talking about bathroom. We are talking about inadequate classrooms and all the other things that comes to mind. I mean, how can you have a teacher, instructor, or professor who hasn't been paid for 3-4 months? How is she or he surviving? I mean, I always struggle to understand when people go 2-3 months without pay. So I think Dr. Mapaya is unfairly, being blamed for these things by these students. But I mean, what else can they do? They will have to find somebody to blame.
Thank you. Sorry, because I talk about the superintendent business now, so people are even attacking me more, but they lie. They want off my screw my life and carry it a lie. Nobody will eat my show yet. So Mr. Sharif, Douglas use all the time now, so we're going to use 1 minute each for you to comment on the University of Liberia.
Yeah, so the University of Liberia is near and dear to my heart as well. I mean, I went through those walls of the university, almost graduated, but didn't because of the Civil War. And so, it's near and dear to me. The fact that this is going on is not a new problem. It's not a new phenomenon. It's been going on forever. And the government has money for other things. So this is a lack of priorities. That's the issue. And Brother Douglas said that, when tuition was waived, this was not planned. This was not something that was planned. It was just done on an awkward basis, just from gut feeling.
I don't want us to even blame that tuition. The problem was always there.
Yeah, I understand. And that's what I'm saying. So the problem has always been there, and that has exacerbated the issue now. And the fact that there's a lot of money, Dennis, we're putting this on the president, but what about the legislators? What are they doing? What are they allocating for the university? You got a lot of these guys that went through the University of Liberia. So it's leadership failure at all levels. They're not, right now the university is closed for some petty sum of money that the president is seeking to reopen the university. So you know what she's going to do? She's going to resign and go back home, which is the right thing for her to do at this point in time. You can't be in an institution that's so dysfunctional. The university is so dysfunctional at this time that, it used to be called Lux in Tenebris. Now, which stands for light and darkness, now is Tenebris in Tenebris, which is darkness in darkness. And this is where we are with this university. I'm ashamed. It's a disgrace. It's really a disgrace.
And even though I didn't graduate and I was still planning to go to the university and get my bachelor degree, Dr. Mampanya said, no, you don't have to do that. You can get your PhD from there now. But it looked like that is becoming more and more unlikely. Yeah. But, there was one of the people that when they were being interviewed, one the potential president said, well, before I come, because I'm tenure in the United States where he's been dean, he's been everything here. He said, the only thing I want is for the executive mansion to just get her hands out of the university. Let all this be done by the board, right? That way, if I leave my tenure job to go there, the president is not going to wake up one day and just fire me like that. So it appears to me that we know the problem, but we're not trying to solve it. If we are supporting subsidizing Thomas Fowler University, Prince Johnson University, Jeremiah Koung Hospital,
Yes.
I mean, money that's supposed to be used. So those universities are settled first before anything else. Dr. Pearson, 1 minute. Let's get that and then we can close.
Dennis, real quick, right before Dr. Pearson. Imagine a kid telling me, because I'm trying to go back, I still want to go back there to teach at a UL. Imagine a kid telling me, and I'm interviewing him, where did you go to, where are you transferring from now? And the kid telling me, oh, sir, I'm transferring from Thomas Fowler University. Imagine what's going to come in my face. Imagine how my face is going to look like. Oh yeah, I'm seeking transfer from Prince Johnson University. Imagine what my face is going to be like.
Dr. Pearson.
Yeah, just some clarity. Kids are still paying some level of entry fees. In fact, I helped pay a couple of kids' fees on the app that they have there for some entry. I don't know what that entry fee was a few semesters ago. So again, another clarity, I look in the national budget. I think since Prince Johnson passed 2014, 2015, I don't think Prince Johnson University has received any money allocated in the national budget. The budget line there is empty. Probably Burger did not live up to his commitment to him.
You said since 2015?
2014, 2015, when I saw the draft budget, Prince Johnson University is not there. There's no allocation. There was no allocation there. I will double check, but it's not there. 2024, 2025 is not there.
You are saying 2014, 2015. That's
2024, 2025 is not there. But this is what I would say, right? So LRA and Ministry of Finance just told us that they have exceeded their revenue collection for the midterm. All right. Not only that, they've told us that the revenue is performing well. So in that case, I don't understand why the university that has an allocation already budgeted is not coming to them as it has been budgeted. Like, and it said that the projection is the overperformance is still in at 11 million in transit. No, these guys are not serious. When I saw that thing in the media thing, they said they overperformed in revenue, and 11 million of the overperformance were in transit. And I'm like, how do you even track that as overperformance when you say it is transit revenue? And $200,000 cannot be found for the University of Liberia. That is embarrassing. That is shameful. I will close the University of Liberia by saying this. I think we have the money. I think even if we took the president, don't appoint the presidents or whoever position in the university, it will still not help if we do not put the money in the University of Liberia as we budgeted for them, even more. And I would say lastly, look, let us be honest here with ourselves. The people will find the money for the things that interest them. They will find the money. If a museum will carry 40 people to China tomorrow, they will find $300,000. But they will not spend on the future of the country. And that is shameful. That is embarrassing. I think every Liberian should go to the University of Liberia free of charge without paying a penny, because the country does have the resources to fund that. And I'll close on that.
Thank you so much, and gentlemen, thank you for the night. On that note, we're going to close with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good night, and may God richly bless you.
We are Liberians.